We're going to start the hearing today, and I'm going to read the letter from the governor that council received on May 6, 2026. I am pleased to nominate Georgia Petropoulos to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. Sincerely, Maura Healy. So welcome, everyone. Hello, Counselor.
Counselor.
We are going to start today. Georgia, if you'd like to introduce your family and guests, or we can wait till later, but it's up to you.
Certainly, I'd be
Thank you.
happy to. My mom, Tula, my father, George, my husband, Scott, Judge Bethany Brown, Judge John Julian, my oldest, George, and my youngest, Thomas.
Thank you. Well, welcome, everyone. The way we're going to proceed is we're going to hear from two people, Judge Julian and Judge Brown, about why we should appoint Georgia as a judge. Then we're going to hear from other people who don't think she ought to be a judge. There's a line out there, I think. And then after that, we'll hear from nominee herself. Judge Julian, please, the floor is yours. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you for having me. As I said, I think I left in the dark, so I apologize if I fall asleep in the middle. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of the council. My name is Judge John Julian. I'm presently the Regional Administrative Justice for Region 1 of the District Court, as well as the First Justice of the Barnstable District Court. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to say a few words about the appointment of my friend, Attorney Georgia Petropoulos. I would like to commend the governor and the lieutenant governor for this outstanding appointment. And I have known Attorney Petropoulos for about 30 years, going back to my days in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, and her days in the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office. I know from time to time that I met her, that she was a great person who cared about people and that she worked with, and her commitment to her job. She is confident, fair, and well-reasoned. Our paths crossed again when I was appointed to the bench in 2002, and I was assigned to Region 1 and sat frequently in the Wareham District Court, where she was an assistant district attorney. For the next 20 years, I saw her leave the DA's office and become one of the most respected attorneys in the state. She has represented criminal defendants and civil litigants in almost every court in the Commonwealth. She has the patience, skill, and knowledge of the law, fairness, and compassion to be a great judge. Not only will she be a great judge, but she is a great person. I've seen this during my travels around the region and watching my boys play hockey. She's right beside her boys also playing hockey. She's right beside them, watching them, both George and Thomas. And with her husband, Scott, they have raised men who will make a difference in the world. So it is with respect that I urge this council to approve the governor and lieutenant governor's appointment of Georgia Petropoulos as an associate justice of the district court. Thank you very much for your time.
For getting up at midnight, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for great testimony, and you teach others on brevity.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
You know what, usually, that's we have the probate judge, so I have to say for the record that when we have hearings for probate judges, they want to go on for like a half hour. They think they should be hours now.
Hopefully I get extra credit.
Judge Brown.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the council. My name is Bethany Brown, and I am an Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court, sitting in the Fall River Division of the Probate and Family Court. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today in support of Attorney Georgia Petropoulos and her nomination to serve as Associate Justice of the District Court. It is my professional privilege to support Georgia today, as I know she will be an exceptional addition to our judiciary. It is also a deeply personal honor to speak on behalf of my dear friend. I first met Attorney Petropoulos over 25 years ago when I joined the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office as a summer intern. At that time, Georgia had already distinguished herself as a talented young prosecutor. I was immediately impressed by her passion, command of the law, trial skills, and unwavering composure. Georgia demonstrated remarkable generosity and leadership by taking me under her wing and quickly becoming my friend and mentor. As the years progressed, both Georgia and I entered private practice. I routinely had the opportunity to work alongside Georgia and collaborate on cases that demanded our combined expertise. Often in these circumstances, a client's liberty, reputation, and relationship with their children was at stake. In every instance, you brought extraordinary preparation, fearless advocacy, profound empathy, and absolute integrity in her work. She can always be trusted to leave no stone unturned, no client unheard, and no principle compromised. Having served on the bench and observed countless lawyers in practice, I can say that candidates who possess the legal knowledge, compassion, humility, and unimpeachable ethics required to be an outstanding jurist are rare. Georgia is one such lawyer. She is a person who always strives for excellence. She will navigate the demands of a busy courtroom just as she has navigated the demands of a busy practice. She brings a deep sense of empathy to the courtroom that can only be earned by a practitioner who has worked in the trenches on both sides of the criminal law. She knows that behind every case is a person, a family, and often a life in crisis. The Commonwealth will be extraordinarily fortunate to have a jurist of her caliber serving in the district court. I offer my wholehearted and unequivocal endorsement of her appointment. Thank you for considering my thoughts and the very important work that you do on behalf of the Commonwealth.
Good. Don't go anywhere. I've been asked this question with Judge Julian, so if anyone has any questions of either speaker, please do so now.
I'm just sorry that a traffic jam.
No worries. So I'm good?
You're good. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Great.
Didn't get a brevity compliment, even though I timed myself.
We got Plymouth, Bristol, and Barnstable County represented. I love this. This is awesome. All right, we're gonna conclude that portion of the hearing, and we're gonna hear from all those who want to say anything negative about the candidate. And we're gonna close that session too. And now, Georgie, we get to hear from you. So please go with your statement and tell us why we should vote you to become a judge.
Thank you. Good morning, counselors. I would like to begin by thanking Governor Maura Haley and Lieutenant Governor Kimberly Driscoll for this humbling and incredible honor. Your faith and trust in me will not be misplaced, but rather will be used to truly make an important impact on the lives of all that appear before me. I would also like to thank Chief Legal Counsel Jesse Voodoo, Deputy Legal Counsel and Executive Director of the Judicial Nominating Commission, Dara Kesselheim, Kimberly Baptiste, Sonia Altamarino, Aaron Thomas, Linda Paris, and every member of the Judicial Nominating Commission, and all of you esteemed members of the Governor's Council. The important work that each one of you do to vet judicial candidates is not only appreciated, but is essential, and I thank you all for your public service. I would also like to thank Judge Julian and Judge Bethany Brown for taking time out of their busy schedules and waking up at midnight to speak on my behalf. You are both the epitome of what a judge should be: intelligent, compassionate, kind, empathetic, and fair. And I am truly blessed to call you both my friends. My paternal grandparents emigrated from Greece to the United States when my father was 8 years old. My grandfather was employed as a leather tanner in the city of Brockton. At that time, it was known as the shoe city of the world. My grandmother was a seamstress in a factory in downtown Brockton. My father adapted swiftly to his new life in the country that was known as the land of opportunity. He learned the English language quickly and played many sports. His trophies adorned the halls of West Junior High School and Brockton High for football, wrestling, and basketball. Upon graduating high school, he became an automotive mechanic, and at the age of 22, vacationed to Greece where he met my mom. Her upbringing was drastically different than his. She lived a primitive life. She was the oldest of 4. Her parents were sheep herders in a small village in Greece. She would always share stories with my brother and I of how she was the one left in charge to run the household duties and raise her 3 younger siblings. My mother is one of the most intelligent people I know. She was not affluent enough to receive a formal education because, as she explained, she had 1 brother and 2 sisters. Any additional funds that my grandparents would have raised would have gone towards educating her brother, as that was a husband's role to take care of the household. My parents married and raised my brother and me. We were the quintessential blue-collar family. We were raised in a tight-knit household where honesty, integrity, community service, and hard work were not only taught but also required. Our home was a revolving door for all family and friends near and far. I would like to personally take this opportunity to thank my parents for all of their sacrifices and hard work. It is really the only reason I am even before you today. The values and morals you have instilled in me are now echoed to my own boys and have become the fabric of our lives. Treat everyone with dignity and respect, be generous, but most of all, be kind. Sound familiar, boys? I always wanted to be a lawyer. Maybe it was the fact that my parents would make me read every piece of mail that came into the home and explain it to them. Yes, even junk mail, and yes, even today. But since I can remember, there was never any other career path I wanted to pursue. I knew I wanted to help people. At age 17, I was fortunate enough to work at the law offices of Creedon and Creedon. This was more than an employment opportunity for me. I say this because the Creedon family became more than my bosses and mentors. They actually became family. I was exposed to various areas of law working for these esteemed brothers. Civil, criminal, licensing commission, probate, estate planning, zoning board. They taught me so much. I then worked at the State House while attending Suffolk University for the Honorable Michael Creedon, then Senator Creedon. This employment opportunity provided me with a deep knowledge and introspection on legislation and once again helping constituents. I applied and enrolled into the University of Massachusetts Law School. One of my favorite classes was trial practice. I remember being in complete awe of Judge Robert Kane, my trial practice professor. Our final exam was a mock trial. The case was an operating under the influence of alcohol charge, and I would play the role of prosecutor. He encouraged us to try to find and incorporate real police officers as witnesses so that we can capture the actual authenticity of a trial. I remember being at my parents' business in downtown Brockton, waiting for one of their usual customers, most were police officers, to show up for me to ask them if they would testify. That is when a new officer that I knew and was familiar with as a 303 legal intern in Brockton District Court was arresting an individual in their parking lot. I approached him and asked him if he would testify. He agreed. Well, I'm grateful to report to you today that not only did I get an A in trial practice, but that same officer would later become my husband, and this July we would be married for 23 years together. Scott, you are truly the best father to our boys, my best friend, and I said my constant calm, but this morning you were running a little late. I cannot thank you enough for making the rest that day, although I'm sure the defendant felt differently. We have two boys, George and Thomas. I love your passion as hockey players. George is 21 years old and attending his sophomore year in college. He plays college hockey and aspires to be an attorney. Thomas graduated high school 2 weeks ago and is headed to prep school for a postgraduate year to also play hockey. He hopes to major in business and one day become a venture capitalist. Boys, keep moving mountains, keep changing the world, and make positive differences. You are my world, and I am so proud of you. Having been an assistant district attorney and a defense attorney in my 25 years of practicing law has allowed me to foster a realistic understanding of how both sides operate. As an assistant district attorney, I can appreciate the importance of proving the elements of your case, representing the public's interest in criminal cases, and empathizing with the victim and their family. On the other hand, as a defense attorney, I know the importance of rehabilitation, mitigating circumstances, and alternatives to incarceration. I will bring this experience to the district court. When asked, why do you want to be a district court judge? For me, the answer is simple. Continue to help as many individuals as I can in hopes of making the community a better place. I specifically seek district court because it is the gateway to our entire legal system. Everything begins in district court, and it is also the arena where you can help and rehabilitate most individuals. Lastly, I was asked in one of my interviews with the governor's attorneys, if you were to become a judge, what would you want your legacy at the end of your career to be? My answer today is to leave the world a better place because of my compassion, my integrity, my unwavering commitment to equal justice for all. I thank each and every one of you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
It was excellent. Thank you so much. We're going to begin by going around the table, and each council is going to have an opportunity to ask you questions. Council Civil, you'll be first.
Just in time. Okay, and congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you.
I don't believe I have any questions for you because prior to me even knowing who you are, while I was working at Stoughton District Court, I noticed that you had a passion for law and you were like the geek of law. You knew your stuff in and out based on your presentation and how I saw you present your cases. So I'm very comfortable to know that you will do your job with empathy. You'll have all the tools that you need because you know the ins and outs. And, you know, as someone who sits in a court daily, you watch people's demeanors, you watch people's attitude, and the way that I saw you present your cases on behalf of your clients really stuck with me. So I trust you'll do a good job. I look forward to supporting your nomination today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I met you because of Counselor Joe Ferreira, and the way that he introduced you to me told me that he thought the world of you. And then I got to know you, and I could see why. The first thing I noticed about you was the enormity of your heart. And I was really touched. Now I'm gonna get all emotional. But as I've gotten to know you as a person, as an attorney, my opinion of you has only gotten higher. Your fierce advocacy for your clients in the pursuit of justice, your command of the law. You are truly a role model for being outspoken, courageous, and compassionate. I am obviously going to vote for you. This is a joyous occasion. But I just want to ask you one thing, because this is a topic that comes up, and we've heard about it from the probate and family court side, but not so much from the district court side, which is a relatively recent change in the law that allows for the issuance of restraining orders for coercive control. Can you just tell us your understanding of coercive control and what you look for? Because the concern is that judges aren't issuing restraining orders for coercive control when they should. So can you just speak to that?
Certainly. Well, as we know, the 209A orders before the change was just a person can obtain them if they're in imminent fear of serious bodily harm or injury or forced sexual relations. Massachusetts broadened the protections regarding 209A orders to add coercive control. So I guess we should start with what is coercive control. Coercive control is when an individual engages in this type of behavior that could threaten, harm, isolate, control, monitor another person's behavior. And they've now used that and agreed that it's a form of domestic violence. So Massachusetts is actually given more, protections under that. So how does somebody do that? Well, with respect to isolation, somebody might not actually, put you in imminent fear of serious bodily harm or injury, right? But now it could be, oh, here's your support group. It's your family, it's your friends, it's your parents. You can't speak to them anymore. It could be controlling the respect of putting surveillance. I had a case once where somebody was being followed. Every move, like they had GPS on their car that the person didn't know about. They were tracking their phone calls. They can also use the control of, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to hurt you or a family member or even a pet. So when the court, actually the legislature provided for that broader interpretation, what I would do is follow it exactly. It would obviously be a case-by-case basis, because there's other parts to that too, where they're saying that frivolous lawsuits that could literally drain somebody, but I think there has to be at least 3 or 4 what is actually considered frivolous. So I would intend to apply the letter of the law.
It's a wonderful answer. By the way, that's a beautiful statement that you made. I have no further questions. I am proud and happy to be voting for you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Counselor Dolan. Counselor Iannella.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We've had many lengthy conversations. You're an outstanding pick. You're gonna be a great addition to the court. Here it is right here. We all know, Counselor Ferrara, a huge supporter. As soon as your name was before us, he called me. I wish you the best and your family. You're gonna do a great job.
Thank you so much, Counselor.
Thank you. Counselor Ziegler will be next. I see we have a new member of the council today. But if you want, we'll skip over you and come back to you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Nice to see you. He's adorable.
Yeah.
Counselor DiPaolo.
Thank you, Council. Good morning.
Good morning, Counselor.
In person. We had a good conversation, talked about the city of champions and hockey life, and more importantly, we talked about your approach to justice and your experience. I think we reached an implicit agreement that I will always refer to Brockton as the city of champions, and you might refer to us as the second largest city in New England.
We could reach that agreement.
I have no questions. We had a great conversation. Councilor Ferreira is a huge supporter of yours and is was very excited to see you on the issue. So I have no questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Paul, Uncle Jacobs.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to see you again.
I don't have a lot of questions. I just wanted to offer one. So thinking about the variety of specialty courts that district court includes. Two questions. First one being, which if any are you drawn to? Are you drawn to any, and if so, which ones and why? And then I'll say something for.
Certainly. First of all, I'm a huge fan of specialty courts because they provide a more globalized approach on how to deal with people's issues so that we don't see recidivism, and then that in turn creates public trust in the community. I love them all. So literally, I respect our veterans and would love to maybe follow the Honorable Paula Clifford and find out how Vets Court runs. I respect Judge Vitale, and I know that he's a huge proponent, and so is Judge Julian, of Recovery Court. Would love to learn about that. But mental health, I think if I had to choose, because I also believe that the mental health court is a subject and a problem. The underlying issue on the other two as well. I think it encompasses all.
All right, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm fascinated by the specialty courts and the work they do and the approach that they take. Do you have any particular, what would you point to as for mental health, or for any of them that you might have an interest in? Experience that you bring, specific understanding of root causes and so assessing for mental health or for substance abuse, what have you. What would you point to as experience?
So again, I think we all know, and everyone's very familiar with the three big ones, right? But one of my favorite ones that is just recent and is only the first one in the state of Massachusetts that I believe you and I were talking about was the community court in Brockton. I think it's called the Plymouth County Community Court. And there's only 34 in the state, I believe, and this is the one that they just had in Masses in Brockton. And this happens pre-adjudication. So basically what happens is they try to keep people out of the system and assist them by, there's three ways to get into it. You could walk in yourself, get a referral from either a firefighter or a police officer. Or lastly, it's kind of like an adult diversion. It's kind of brought to the court ahead of time and they can kind of divert you out 6-month period. And what's wonderful about it is they try globally because it's a joint approach, a team approach rather, with the judge, probation department, a court clinician, law enforcement officers, and other resources that are available to help people gain their vocational skills, help people with educational skills, and address any kind of underlying issues that they may have so that they don't actually get into the system. So that's one of my favorites. And if you're ever in Brockton, come visit us.
I actually do. I would love to. And I'd love to see the team framework in play, honestly. So in looking at the specialty courts recently, there seem to be very few women who preside over the specialty court. Compared to a small percentage. A, why do you think that is? And B, what do you think you might be able to accomplish yourself to actually be appointed to preside over one of these courts if there is that sort of gender imbalance going on?
I don't know how many female versus male, so I can't really answer to that, but I do know that I'm going to, if confirmed, and put in Region 1, go to my boss, and hopefully he'll teach me how to get into one of those, because I want to be proactive and get involved.
Well, certainly, Counselor, as I am the specialty court's chair of the district court. So I will look into that, make sure that that is hopefully addressed somehow. But thank you for putting her on the spot because she'll be number one on my list.
Thank you.
Good to have the right guy in the room, huh?
Bad answer. No, I appreciate that. I really enjoy talking to you. We talked about some things. Right, I agree. And I'm serious, like I would love to come and let me know what day of the week or whatever, and if that's a possibility. Those are all the questions.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you so much.
Look, could you start by introducing a newest counselor, please?
Samuel, he just turned 1 and he's really excited to join the session. We spoke earlier
We did.
today, so Samuel was really excited and grateful for the conversation then. It's Mommy and Me Day, at the State House. So congratulations on
You again, thank you.
nomination. You know, it's clear that you have the experience, and we had a lovely conversation about how you have such a depth of experience trying cases. I wanted to kind of drill down into a little bit of our conversation around, housing insecurity and your experience with trying cases of the sort and how you would approach it from the bench. In our conversation, you talked about it being an access to justice issue, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak a little bit more about that in public.
Absolutely. So when we think of access to justice, we think of everyone having their fundamental legal rights protected and applied. However, sometimes there's justice gaps in our system where that doesn't technically always happen. Situations like you just raised, and thank you, because it's an extremely important question on housing insecurity affect several people. Especially my law firm was in Brockton, and we've seen it several times. The way I would tackle that is, again, to make sure that I had a good working relationship with probation department, who has, much more access to the certain individuals, and make sure that we can address it if they need resources, or make sure that they're getting everything that they need. Also, an issue to that is the fact that, like, not just the housing insecurity of them getting the legal help that they need, but also that if they were to be sentenced or have some kind of conditions of probation, it's going to be even harder for that individual to try to comply with those conditions. So the one thing we don't want is a revolving door where they're not being able to, having probation violation surrenders and as such. So I would make sure that that didn't happen.
There is, community conversation around the roles of a judge, and this thought between how you balance applying the law and activism from the bench. Can you speak about your philosophy around that?
Certainly. So I would be more judicially proactive and not judicially like a judicial activist. Our job, and there's a clear separation of powers, is to apply the law, not to create it. That's the legislature's job. So I believe that judicial activism would be just that, trying to create the law. Whereas, being judicially proactive is taking precedent and following the law and applying it to cases. And that's what I intend to do.
What do you feel is the greatest strength that you would bring to this role?
My relatability and empathy. I truly believe that, having been on both sides as an assistant district attorney and as a defense attorney, I've seen both sides on what that means. I know what it's like to have, a victim in your office, or their families, and, hug them and try to want to win a case for them. But on the same respect, I know what it's like to stand up and wait for that jury verdict to come in, and your client's not the only one that's nervous on that. The attorney is too. So I believe that the fact that I can relate to both sides, and not just the parties, not just the victims or the defendants or the plaintiffs and the defendants, but also relate with the new ADA, who might not know how to get in every element of their case and might forget how to put in public way, or same for the defense attorney. So I believe that that would be my biggest strength on making people feel comfortable and creating a fair and equitable courtroom.
And lastly, when we spoke, I asked you about, did you always want to be a judge? Like, how did you find yourself? And you mentioned that, you always knew that you wanted to apply the law to help people. And, with that, you're at this juncture where you're up for nomination to the bench. Is there a judge that has inspired you in your work? If so, why? And how would you seek to, carry that inspiration, that legacy forward?
Thank you for asking that question. as we spoke, I explained that I was fortunate enough, and the only reason why I'm here is because I was raised by some of the best judges in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But one that raised all of them was Judge O'Neill, who is no longer with us today. But as a young and assistant district attorney in the Wareham District Court, I got to witness him not only train all new judges, but also all the DAs that appeared before him, defense attorneys. I watched how he commanded control of a courtroom in the most kind-hearted way. And the way he made people feel seen, heard, understood. He was just the epitome of, like I said before, what a judge should be. And he literally is the one that raised some of the best judges in the Commonwealth and some of the best DAs, and I would want to be someone like him.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Kennedy, there was a judge in here asking about you earlier. He really missed you. And you did get an opportunity to ask him questions. So if you'd like to ask any of the witnesses questions now, because I know you were in court a little
I
earlier.
have some questions for Julian, but I'll wait till
And
after.
with Judge Julian, I really wanted to.
I'm not gonna ask you questions for 3 reasons. Number one, I'm losing my voice. Number two, given how well I know you, and that we're friends with, it'll probably get us both in trouble. Number three, I know it would get Counsel Ferrera in trouble, so I'm gonna. You're a try, where I've seen you in action, yes, you're gonna be a great judge. And I know that our mutual friend has been screaming and yelling for a long time about you, so
Thank you.
you already been voting for you.
There's gonna be a few people happy that he's losing his voice. Including his wife. Now it's up to me, so I don't have any questions. You are just amazing. I was listening to something the other day talking about successful people, and it's all about tenacity, talent, and timing. Your timing is impeccable. Your career path has been just amazing. Your service to the Commonwealth as a DA, as a CPCS lawyer, there's nothing you haven't done. The admiration you have of these judges that testified for you before, your admiration in the Bristol County, Plymouth County, I've seen you in court, and you walk in, you take over. There's no question about it. You control the courtroom, and you're gonna do that as a judge, and you're not gonna be afraid to do the right thing. And that's what's gonna make you an outstanding judge, and I am so happy to have you here today. And this hearing is concluded.
I'm gonna get it going. We're gonna start this hearing this morning for our nominee I'm gonna read you your nomination letter.
Thank you.
Dated May 6th, 2026, to the Executive Council. Dear Councilors, I am pleased to nominate Gregory A. Bartlett to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Southern Berkshire District Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. Sincerely, Maura T. Healy. I'm going to give you this letter too at the end.
Thank you. I
That
appreciate that.
So I am Tara Jacobs. I am the governor's counselor for your home district of District 8. Going around the room introducing my fellow counselors. We have Councilor Civil, Councilor Dolan, here and soon to join us, Councilor Iannella, Councilor Ziegler, Councilor Kennedy, and Councilor DiPaolo. We're going to start by hearing from some of the witnesses you've brought with you today. So first, I'd like to invite up the Honorable Judge Vrabel to come join us and share his thoughts and support.
Good morning, everyone. I was chatting with Mr. Bartlett this morning outside. I recall that last time I was here was the Wednesday after Memorial Day in 1999 for my hearing.
While ago.
So coincidentally, it's the hearing date for Mr. Bartlett, and I know this is a momentous day, not only for Mr. Bartlett, but for you having to take this important vote. So I hope you'll bear with me when I give you my comments about Mr. Bartlett.
Back.
Again, my name is Paul Vrabel. I am a retired district court judge. I had the honor of serving the Commonwealth from August of 1999 until April of 2024, which was my mandatory retirement date. My court of appointment, coincidentally, was the Northern Berkshire District Court, where Mr. Bartlett currently serves as its first assistant clerk magistrate. Just by way of background, in April of 2015, I was appointed to serve as the first justice of the Northern Berkshire District Court, succeeding my colleague, Judge Michael Ripps. At the same time, I was appointed to serve as the first justice of the Great Barrington District Court. Somewhat unusual to have a judge serve as a first justice for two courts. Fortunately, I lived in Pittsfield, which is equidistant from both courts. But nevertheless, those were my responsibilities as first justice from 2015 until my retirement in April of 2024. Typically, I would work and serve 3 days a week in North Adams, where I would spend my time with Mr. Bartlett as its first assistant clerk magistrate. The other 2 days a week, I would be in Great Barrington, where I trust Mr. Bartlett will soon be serving as its clerk magistrate. Now, as the former first justice of the Great Barrington Court, I'm well aware of its particular needs and importance of its clerk magistrate in ensuring the court's successful operations and the delivery of justice to the community. I enthusiastically and without any reservations recommend that this council look favorably upon his nomination as clerk magistrate of the Southern Berkshire District Court. I've known Mr. Bartlett since 2009, when he was an intern for the Hampden County District Attorney's Office in the Springfield District Court. Before I gained any seniority, I would travel almost daily from Pittsfield to sit in Springfield, which is one of our busiest district courts in the Commonwealth. That's where I first met Mr. Bartlett. He was serving as an intern at the Hampden County District Attorney's Office as a law clerk. But I made the mistake of, I don't know if you remember this, made the mistake of calling him an assistant district attorney before he had to correct me. And that's because his presentation was so good that I thought he was already a member of the bar. Mr. Bartlett later appeared before me on a regular basis when he was appointed as an assistant district attorney in Berkshire County. As a prosecutor, Mr. Bartlett demonstrated an exceedingly high level of skill as an advocate and an impressive knowledge of both substantive and procedural criminal law. As I have said, I have worked with Mr. Bartlett for almost a decade when I was the North Adams first justice. In his capacity as the first assistant clerk magistrate, he clerked for me on a regular basis when I presided over both the court's primary and jury sessions. And I hope Mr. Morey will not be offended, who is the clerk magistrate of the Northern Berkshire District Court. Mr. Bartlett was my favorite clerk. Usually preferred Mr. Bartlett over Mr. Morey, but we'll leave that for another day. Bartlett always conducted himself in court in a thoroughly professional manner. He assisted me in efficiently handling the disposition of the court's criminal and civil caseload. His demeanor in court set the appropriate tone for the serious nature of its undertakings. At the same time, Mr. Bartlett was cognizant of the stress and trepidation that litigants, witnesses, and victims experience when they come into a courtroom, and he treated everyone with respect, courtesy, and empathy. His calm demeanor did much to diffuse the tensions often experienced in a courtroom, which necessarily made for a better day for all concerned. He is respected by the bar in Berkshire County for his skill and demeanor, and in turn, he respects them for the important role they play in the administration of justice. As its first assistant clerk magistrate, Mr. Bartlett's work ethic was beyond reproach. He routinely arrived at the courthouse well before its normal starting time and could be found in the then closed courtroom, organizing the court's criminal and civil files in the primary session. In the jury session, on his own initiative, he communicated with the prosecution and defense daily in advance of a trial date to determine as accurately as possible whether a case indeed would go to trial, obviating the need in many instances to call jurors into court unnecessarily. Mr. Bartlett always knew the pulse of the court, an intangible and sometimes difficult skill to master. And I relied on him and Mr. Morey to relate to me any problems or concerns of the public or the bar so that they could be promptly addressed by the court's leadership teams. Given my many years of working with Mr. Bartlett, I can attest that he has a complete mastery of the substantive and procedural criminal law that must be known and followed by a district court clerk magistrate. He's been called upon to review hundreds of criminal complaint applications every year, and upon my judicial review of the complaints he has issued, I have found them to be sound and based on the proper application of the probable cause standard. He has also been called upon to review many search warrant applications, and once again, when his decisions were reviewed by me in the context of a suppression motion, I found them to be sound as well. Mr. Bartlett has for many years set bails and conditions of release for individuals who are under arrest when the court is closed. I have always found Mr. Bartlett's bail decisions to be appropriate and reasonable. And as I recall, I cannot remember one time when Mr. Bartlett released someone on personal recognizance during the evening or weekend hours that individual did not in fact appear in court. On the civil side of the court, I can attest that Mr. Bartlett is knowledgeable on the intricacies and nuances of civil motion practice, small claims matters, landlord-tenant disputes, collection matters, and dispute mediation. He would come to the position of clerk magistrate possessing a wealth of knowledge and practical experience in civil matters. Mr. Bartlett has also benefited from the guidance of the North Adams present clerk magistrate, Timothy Morey, who will testify next, in learning how to fairly manage and train the court's personnel staff. And during Mr. Morey's vacation and personal absences over the years, I have observed that Mr. Bartlett manages the Northern Berkshire District Court in an exemplary fashion. The court has never missed a beat when he has been in charge. In effect, Mr. Bartlett has for 14 years already performed the difficult work of being a district court clerk magistrate. Now, the Southern Berkshire District Court in Great Barrington is unfortunately and chronically under-resourced and understaffed. In fact, I just met your prior interviewee for district court position. She appeared before me just before I retired in 2014, and she was telling me how she had to ask one of the court officers where the courtroom was. And she was reminded she was standing in it. It was that small. It's small, understaffed, but nevertheless very important. It also serves the largest geographical area for a district court in the Commonwealth. In Great Barrington, the clerk magistrate and the assistant clerk magistrate must assist the small court staff in answering phones, dealing directly with the public at the counter seeking assistance regarding court procedures, processing domestic restraining order applications, and processing the detailed paperwork ancillary to criminal and civil matters. There are no session clerks in Great Barrington. Its magistrates must not only clerk in court for the sitting judge, but nearly simultaneously review criminal complaint applications and preside over civil motor vehicle appeals in small claims matters. Given that Mr. Bartlett has performed all of these tasks and more during his long tenure at the Northern Berkshire District Court, he is uniquely qualified to serve as its clerk, the clerk magistrate in Great Barrington. He will need no on-the-job training for this new position. He has done it all in his present position. Mr. Bartlett is one of the finest attorneys and magistrates I have encountered and worked with in Western Massachusetts during my time as a district court judge. He is a well-rounded person, kind and considerate, hardworking, honest, with a self-deprecating sense of humor. His experience as a social worker with DCF has provided him with much insight and empathy to people in difficult situations, such as those that appear before us in the district court. He's a Berkshire County native and understands the challenges of managing a court in a large rural area such as the Southern Berkshire District Court. Having observed his demeanor over the years, I am certain that he would exhibit appropriate temperament if appointed as clerk magistrate. The Commonwealth, and in particular, the Southern Berkshire County community, would be well served by his confirmation as clerk magistrate. I would be happy to answer any questions from the council concerning Mr. Bartlett.
Anyone have any questions?
That was incredibly thorough. I appreciate it.
And I'm sorry if I didn't know. I went online to see if there were rules as far as the length of a presentation. So I hope I did not exceed that. Thank you.
It passed today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I told him 1 minute.
That was for attorneys, Mr. Clark.
Could you please come up and join us? This is our Northern Berkshire Clerk Magistrate, Tim Morey, who's here as both the boss and a witness in support. I look forward to hearing you.
Thank you, Counselor Jacobs, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the council for allowing me to testify on behalf of Mr. Bartlett. The judge insisted that he go first because usually I'm long-winded, so I can put you at ease. I'm not going to be very long-winded because we covered most of the bases.
You took all your time anyway.
Thank you. Take any questions. You know, it's interesting. People always ask me, and they might ask you as members of the council, really, what does a clerk magistrate do? What is that? Clerk magistrate. Very interesting. And I try to explain it to them this way. Just what the title says. Clerk, administrative, magistrate, judicial, decision-making, and actions and processes and procedures, both criminally and civil. You have in Mr. Bartlett what I would consider to be the perfect candidate for that position, and I say it in this respect. First, as Judge Vrabel indicated, he's a sound legal basis for the decisions he makes. He's even-tempered, even-keeled. There's never been an issue in the time that he has worked as an assistant clerk that I've ever had anyone come to me and complain about the way they were treated, his knowledge of the law, his decisions, etc. Most importantly, on the administrative side, he is extremely competent administratively. And that's extremely important in a court the size of Great Barrington. because he is going to be called upon without question, as Judge Vrabel indicated. It's an understaffed court at present. He's going to be called on to work the counter. He's going to be called on to actually sit down at the computer screen and enter cases, update cases, and fill in when necessary. And I know he can do this because I have seen him do this in the Northern Berkshire District Court. And I don't want to make anyone believe that the Northern Berkshire District Court is filled with extra employees. We're going through our own bit of staffing crisis as well. But I just wanted to emphasize that his administrative, his organizational skills are outstanding. And he's been a great asset to me in that regard. He has, helped me greatly improve my skills with respect to administration and organization. So he comes to the job uniquely, in my opinion, uniquely qualified to handle both aspects of the job. I firmly and solidly endorse him for this position. And my kind of motto when I had heard he had been nominated, my motto for Greg was ready on day one. And that's exactly what he is. He's ready on day one to take over a court that needs to be guided, that's short-staffed in the presently. And it will be, in my opinion, a seamless transition. So I firmly endorse him. I believe the governor has nominated well in this case. I'll take any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you so much.
Mark, you want?
Before you give us your personal statement, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to go around the room and introduce the people who have come to support you here today.
Certainly, you've met my two witnesses, my wife Christine, my stepdaughter Megan, and her husband Matt.
And seeing no opposition, why don't you share with us your statement with?
Thank you, counselors, for consideration of my nomination today. I truly appreciate all the time you've taken to meet with me and the thoughtful conversations we've had over the last 2 weeks. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for their confidence they have placed in me. I am also grateful to Jesse Voodoo, Dara Kesselheim, Kimberly Baptiste, Sonia Altamirano and her team for the guidance and assistance. Thank you to my wife, my family, my friends, and all the members of the Northern Berkshire District Court for their love and support during this process. The Southern Berkshire District Court is a small community courthouse located in an old elementary school building. It has been almost a quarter century since a Southern Berkshire Clerk Magistrate position has come before this council. Clerk Bartini has overseen a remarkable court that serves as the hub of the community. He has worked hard to create an environment where people feel they be treated with respect and dignity, where their questions will be answered and they will feel heard. If confirmed, I hope to build upon the strong foundation laid down by Clerk Bartini and continue the proud tradition of public service to the Southern Berkshire community. Now let me share a little bit about myself and why I believe I can deliver upon that promise. I started working at 12 years old at my family's restaurant in Adams, Massachusetts, where I was born and raised. The Red Carpet restaurant was part of my family for 70 years. I was taught the value of hard work, punctuality, and earning an honest day's pay. More importantly, my parents instilled in me the importance of community and treating people with respect. Those were the lessons that would become the foundation I would carry with me through my entire life and career. I left Adams for Northern New York and attended St. Lawrence University. I expected to graduate from St. Lawrence and immediately attend law school. However, like many young people, it took me a little while to find my way. After college, I worked for the university and then several adolescent programs before being hired by the Department of Children and Families. As a social worker, I began to work with people who were going through some of the most difficult moments of their lives. When I first met with a family, they were worried and scared, much like many of the people who walk into a courthouse for the first time. I would reassure them that I would always be honest, direct, and clear about my expectations. Social work and being a good clerk magistrate required the same things, building relationships. I learned about poverty, homelessness, substance abuse, and the challenges of mental health, but I also learned about strength, determination, and the power of resilience. I learned that everyone has a story to tell, and when you can take the time to truly listen, you can always find a way to help. One day while at court, with the encouragement of several of the outstanding attorneys there, I realized it wasn't too late to live my dream to become a lawyer. I applied and was accepted to Western New England University School of Law. The next 3 years were both very challenging and incredibly rewarding as I balanced raising 3 very young children, law school, and a daily 3-hour round trip to Springfield. Thanks to the support of my family, I was able to make my dreams a reality. Shortly after being accepted to the Massachusetts bar, I went to work at the Berkshire County District Attorney's Office. It was there I learned how to be a lawyer. I was able to balance my previous career as a social worker with that of a prosecutor. Being an assistant district attorney was never simply about prosecuting cases. It was about listening to people and understanding the circumstances that brought them into the system. Most importantly, it was about supporting recovery, creating opportunities for rehabilitation, and using the position to help people access the resources and second chances they deserve. The professional relationships I developed within the court system were instrumental in my appointment as an assistant clerk magistrate in 2012. Over the last 14 years, I have served in this capacity, participating in all aspects of the court's daily operations. I work closely with judges for both the civil and criminal sessions. I serve as a magistrate for show cause hearings, motor vehicle appeals, and small claim matters. I'm very proud of the Northern Berkshire District Court and the people that work there. As clerks, we are often the first point of contact for individuals going through difficult times, sometimes the hardest day of their lives. We take pride as a court in asking the extra questions, making efforts to understand their situations, and doing what we can within our role to guide them. Our goal is that people leave better able to handle their situation than when they arrived. To me, this is what being a clerk magistrate is about, helping people. I've been fortunate to have Clerk Magistrate Timothy Morey as my mentor. It doesn't matter who walks through the doors, he is kind to them. When the person leading the court displays compassion for other people, it raises the standard for everyone else in the building. If I take anything away with me from working alongside Clerk Morey, it is to treat people the way he does. And if I can live up to that example in my own career, I will consider it a success. It is the fundamental tenets of honesty, respect, and kindness that I bring with me from my many years of public service. It would be a true privilege to have the opportunity to build upon what is already a great court in Southern Berkshire. I thank you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to answering any questions you might have for me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We'll start with Counselor Sippel. Do you have any questions?
Hi.
Hi, Greg, congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you very much.
Looking through your resume, based on our conversation, you are well equipped and you have the experience. You was a first assistant clerk magistrate, so you know the job description in and out. My question for you is, based on all your experience being an assistant district attorney, working for the Department of Children and Families, and being also a defense attorney as well, dealing with all types of client, what do you think you bring to the table as far as being a clerk magistrate now? What have you learned to prepare you to assume this role?
There's been a lot throughout my career. I think, I'm definitely influenced from my early career as a social worker, getting into situations with people and going into their house and dealing with people when they're dealing with such a difficult issue as, their children are involved here, and seeing, what they're going through and understanding the poverty and other issues that people are dealing with. I think it's really informed everything I've done since that time. I've worked as a, prosecutor. I was an older prosecutor, so I didn't have that fire of a 24-year-old law school graduate. I had seen life. I had understand what people were going through. I think I brought it to that role, and I certainly bring it to all the issues that come before us at the Northern Berkshire District Court. And when they come to the counter, I understand that this is tough times for them and they're scared and worried, and that it's up to me to show them that I'm listening to them and I'm willing to hear what they have to say and to try to help them. And that's ultimately what we're all about. And I've learned that for myself through my career, from Clerk Morey's example. Just helping people is what we really do at the courthouses.
Right now, you're at the Northern Berkshire District Court. If you had an opportunity to change something, what would it be?
At the Northern Berkshire District Court, I think it's a very good question. I think that what I've been looking for is not really within the court. I think we really have an incredible court staff and court people in both the clerk's office, probation, our security staff. It's just an excellent group of people. But we are always struggling with what's available to us outside of the courtroom. The services are, and this is, I'm sure counselors have heard it for all your areas, services are hard to come by. In the Berkshires, we really are dealing with one agency that's doing all of our mental health treatment, and we're often running 3, 4, even up to 6 months behind on getting people mental health evaluations. It not only makes them suffer for not getting these services they need, but it also makes their court case lag behind as we try to get services in place. Things aren't happening as fast as they possibly could as we try to, get the evaluations done, give the court all the information it needs to make its decisions. We also struggle with interpreter services. They do a great job of being online for us and available by Zoom for us. But when we try to get somebody to physically come to the court, there's a shortage and it's hard for us. So if I could change anything, I would increase the services to match the level of need. And that's what ultimately I would change.
Thank you so much. No further questions. I look forward to supporting your nomination.
Thank you.
So much. I apologize, I'm in the middle of a client emergency, but I have been listening, Really enjoyed and appreciate our conversation. Very much appreciate the experience that you will bring to the position, both from the position that you're in now, as well as what you've done leading up to this. Very much appreciate the work that you did as a social worker for DCF for 8 years, which I think is a great background. And I asked you when we spoke, what you felt people need to know about the role of clerk magistrate, because it's gotten a bad rap and it's misunderstood, and you had a wonderful answer. I wonder if you could just share that with us.
I think the role of clerk magistrate is often misunderstood. It's seen as you run a court and you're responsible for the courthouse and only the courthouse. I think, and I go back to Mr. Morey said, in his kind words, it's about being a clerk as well. It's about being at the front desk, talking to people, hearing what they have to say and working with them wherever they're at. It's about finding services, and ultimately it's about answering their questions. So often people that come into the court have questions that have nothing to do with our court system. Often it's like, I'm having a problem with the mayor's office, or I'm having a problem at the hospital. Whatever it is, they come to the court thinking this is the place I can find answers for these questions. And it'd be very easy just to be like, oh, I'm sorry, we're not the mayor's office, you got to deal with that, or you got to go here, we can't give you answers. It's a little more difficult but worthwhile to actually try to help them, to try to point them in the right direction, try to get them their needs met. If they're coming in saying they're homeless currently and looking for a place to live, who's available that might be able to help them. Our probation department is wonderful in helping people. It's really guiding people to get the help they need, and that's the true value of being a clerk. The court will run itself on a certain level. The judges will show up, the cases will come in, but being there for people and trying to help them better their lives is really what we do, and I think it's very valuable.
I very much appreciate that. I completely agree with you. I'm glad that you shared that. I look forward to voting for you.
I appreciate that.
Other questions?
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Ziegler.
Thank you. Congratulations on your nomination. And thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Prior. I appreciated hearing a little bit more about your story and your statement today, working in the restaurant, your family, and all the leadership skills that instilled within you. Clerk as we spoke, clerk magistrate is one of those roles that I feel many members of our community don't quite understand the breadth and the depth of the role and how it impacts their experience within the court system. And so I just have a few questions for you, kind of elaborating on our conversation earlier. How would you seek to set the tone and increase the efficiency of the office?
I appreciate that question. The Southern Berkshire District Court has been going through some very tough times. It's a smaller court, so the clerk's office literally has 5 people in it. and they've experienced 3 recent retirements within that office. So they have 1 senior person still there, the assistant clerk magistrate still there, and 1 person who's been there about a month. So they really need right now somebody who comes in, understands the issues and what we do on a daily basis as an administrative aspect of the clerk's office, and can kind of make sure everything's happening the way they need to happen. So my goal, first day in is just to look at everything with fresh eyes. It's been the same clerk magistrate for 23 years, and it's been done one way, and that way's been great, and it's worked wonderful down there. But there's always ways for somebody else with some fresh set of eyes to look at it, to see if there's systems that can be improved, if there's docketing that can be done a little bit better, is there use of the physical space of a very old building that could be utilized better to fit today's needs. And I think, with my experience, I think I can step in there day one and look at them and make some changes that will help the court run a little more efficiently and utilize the space better.
What do you perceive to be the biggest hurdle for you in assuming this role, and how would you seek to approach it?
Well, Northern Berkshire and Southern Berkshire, it's all in the Berkshire. So, on a certain level, it sounds like they're right on top of each other. The Berkshires is huge. It's, I joke and say that I have a half an hour, 36-minute drive to North Adams, 30-minute drive to Great Barrington from my house. But everywhere in the Berkshires takes 30 minutes to get to. It's just the reality of Berkshire County, no matter where you're going. So the biggest hurdle is, it's a very different group of people, providers in Southern Berkshire than it is in Northern Berkshire. So I'm starting ground zero on a certain level with them in order to learn who everybody is and who does what down there. Now, I have had experience over the last 6 months of spending time in Southern Berkshire District Court. I've probably spent almost a month worth of time working down there as the acting clerk magistrate for those periods of time, in order to allow the current acting magistrate to have some time off. So I have already started building those relationships, meeting people. I know everybody that's in the courthouse itself. I've met people as they come in. I've spoken to them. So I've started that process. But obviously, first day, it's just sit down and, really get that list together, who's providing what, who's available to do what, and start reaching out to them to build those relationships so I know who's available to me and to the court.
In our conversation, we talked about the importance of systems and establishing appropriate systems to support the team. What for you would be your first order of business in order to establish a cohesive system for your team to be successful?
Well, it's minor, but if you worked in a clerk's office, it would make a lot of sense as to why. It's in Southern Berkshire, they don't write the names of the cases on the files. It's such a little thing, but it makes it so much easier to find the files, to make sure the right files are going wherever they need to go, moving in, moving out of the courtroom, going between the different desks. The first day I was there, I was like, I need Joe Jones's file, and they're like, what number is that? I'm like, uh-oh, now we're, it's the hunting numbers. So I think something is simple, and I think that's the beauty of a fresh set of eyes, is those simple things can make a lot of difference. But they're also very simple, but it's never been thought of because they've been under the same system. They've been working with the numbers on the files for so long that I think, finding those little simple answers, especially the first day. You don't walk in anywhere the first day and change the whole thing, but if you can find a couple of little things to make it easier on people, I think it's just a great first step.
I appreciate you taking the extra effort to actually go to the office and kind of understand what are some of the efficiencies and inefficiencies and ways that you can create meaningful impact and change.
For that, I agree.
And it's my last question, is one that I like to ask of candidates is, what leadership legacy would you like to leave with the clerk's office should you be appointed?
Yeah, it's incredible to think about a legacy. Thank you for bringing that up, because it's just it's coming in, letting people know I'm going to work with them, I'm going to hear them, whether it's my staff members or people coming in. I want people to walk in. I can tell you what happens at our court right now. People walk in wanting to talk to Tim Mori. Like they come to the desk, they're like, Tim Mori's the guy I need to talk to, and they're not gonna talk to anybody else because they've trust him, he's honest, he's upfront with them, and he helps them. I want, by the time I'm done, people will walk in and say, I wanna talk to Greg Bartlett, because I know he's gonna be the one to help me and he's gonna be there for me. If that's happening, and if my staff's willing to come to me and talk to me when they have issues, or they have concerns, or they have a better way to do something, or if people off the street walk in and they want to talk to me about ways to help them and better their lives, then I've really succeeded as being a clerk magistrate. Thank you, I appreciate you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kennedy.
My colleagues on the council and my wife are very happy today because I've lost my voice. So I'm not gonna speak very much because I just can't. You're certainly very highly qualified for this position, there's no question about that. And I am absolutely gonna vote for you, I think you'll do a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Just a comment to the judge, you mentioned both the Pittsfield Court and the Great Barrington Court. I've actually had the opportunity over the years to try cases in both of those. Only once, because I didn't like the ride. I was treated very, very well by the court personnel and the judges at the time, I appreciate that. And you actually live in Pittsfield?
I do.
Did you sit in Pittsfield at all?
I did.
Yes, it's my friend Chris Carranza,
Yes.
the clerk magistrate, great person, very good friend of mine. I'll vote for you.
I appreciate that, thank you, sir.
Thanks. Want to talk that? Want a throat lozenge? I got one.
What's that?
I have a throat lozenge if you want one.
Oh, good, I have some.
Okay. Counselor DePaul.
That's the
Counselor
first thing she ever offered. The nicest she's been to me.
That was a really nice moment. Good morning, congratulations on your nomination. We had a good conversation and we had a really thorough discussion this morning about what the magistrate does and about some of the needs, particularly in your county. So I first just want to thank you for your years of service with DCF. That's very difficult work. You weren't there a year and left, you were there a long time, and then you went to speed with either law school or just.
Yes, that was a lot of school time, yep.
So thank you for that work. As far as our conversation, there's no need to iterate what's already been discussed here, but not like we talk about the managing the courthouse and in some cases modernizing practices if that's appropriate, but making things work so that folks coming in, especially in Western Mass, you talked about the servicer, the dearth of servicers, which causes delays. And for folks, it's like, for even litigants, it can be multiple hours to get somewhere. And so, you didn't just talk in platitudes and cliches about how to make things efficient and how to make things work for everyone in the community, but you had specific ideas. And most importantly, you're interested in working with the people who have to actually implement them day to day. So I was really impressed with our conversation. Your counselor is supportive of you, and I'm glad to see this clerk position filled permanently. So congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you, sir.
Somehow I didn't pick up that you had the connection to the red carpet restaurant.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a legend.
We had 70 years.
Nice.
Luckily, my parents decided to retire right before COVID, and they didn't have to try to figure out how to manage that. But
Big loss to Adam.
it's sad.
Because that place literally was institutional.
Absolutely.
I have no further. We've talked at length. I just want to echo. I think it was incredibly well said. The motto or the mantra of diving in from day one and being ready to go, and I think that very much describes you and in a court that really needs it with all of the loss of historic knowledge recently. I think that'll be really important. I guess my only question for you, and I don't even know if you can answer it, but from a resource standpoint, in terms of hiring, where are we at right now? Are you going to be able to start a hiring process to refill some of the positions?
Yeah, I mean, there's the word out there that there's a hiring freeze, but it's not completely true. There are limited hirings available for courts that are in severe need for people. So they've started to work work with those courts to hire people. Hopefully, once the fiscal year flips over, we will see more openings of happening. I've been informed that upon my hiring, there's a possibility of getting one more position down there, and I'll be able to hire as soon as I'm able to, if confirmed. But we'll see what happens week from now, a month from now, because it changes daily as to what's available. But the hope is we'll be up to full staff with 2 staff that are brand new in order to kind of move forward from there. So
I hope that's the case, because I also heard reflected in your statement, Clerk Mari, that Northern Berkshire also could use, and I've heard Pittsfield also is, really almost legislatively struggling with staffing problems, because we kind of need additional staff added. It's been decades of not refilling when people have left, and it's left them really behind. All that to say, I have full confidence in you, and I will just knock on all the things that you're able to do the hiring you need to do, and for you as well. And I will, with that, close this hearing. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to start this hearing. I am Tara Jacobs, the Governor's Counselor for District 8. Very happy to be chairing this hearing for our nominee, for whom I will read your nomination letter, dated May 6th, 2026, to the Executive Council. Dear Councilors, I am pleased to nominate Alison F. Silber to the position of Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. Sincerely, Morty Healy. So congratulations on your nomination. I'm going to introduce the council, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce the many people who came out to support you today. So first we have Councillor Civil. I know Councillor Dolan will be joining us shortly, as well as Councillor Ianella. We've got Councillor Ziegler, and our honorary Councillor Samuel is here joining us today, which I think is so appropriate for a Probate and Family Court moment. He may well join and weigh in as we go. We've got Councillor Kennedy and Councillor DiPaolo. Please share with us who came with you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I have with me Attorney Kate Coyne, who's one of my associates and one of my speakers. Judge David Sachs, retired probate and family court judge, who's another speaker. Judge Danielle Williams, who's the first justice of the Holyoke District Court, who's a friend and mentor. My husband, Eric Lesser. My in-laws, Joan and Martin Lesser. My daughter, Nora Lesser. My parents, Bonnie and Glenn Silber. I have my full work team here. So I also have Attorney Danielle Worley, Attorney Sarah Samjogu, and my daughter, my oldest daughter, Rose Lesser. My girls are representing their younger brother, who is staying back in preschool today. Excuse me, Chief Justice Brian Dunn. I'm so honored to have him here today, and Yvonne Williams, who's a family friend, and I'm honored to have her here today.
Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for joining us.
And excuse me, I'm sorry, may I?
There's more.
I just also want to say thank you to the governor's legal team, who's so well represented here today.
No, that's wonderful. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our witnesses, and the first witness you brought here today is retired Judge David Sachs. So if you want to come, you can stand, you can sit, whatever makes you comfortable right here. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, and may it please this honorable council. My name is David Sachs, and I happily traveled in from Holyoke today to enthusiastically support the governor's nomination of Attorney Alison Silber to become an Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court. It is a court on which I was honored to serve for over 33 years. And since my retirement in 2020, I've remained active in the law, partly as a continuing access to justice fellow, assisting senior partners for justice, as a member of the Board of Bar Examiners, and as a regular family law volunteer. Like Attorney Silber, I also do private mediations. As a judge, I interacted with countless judges, court staff, attorneys, litigants, and witnesses. And without reservation, Attorney Silber is among the absolute best and more promising judicial candidates I've had the opportunity to observe. Her first appearance before me was in 2014, so I had the chance to observe her for my last 6 years on the bench. She stood out for her demeanor, exceptional intelligence, litigation skills, organization, professionalism as a zealous, civil, and effective advocate. I expected attorneys to be well prepared, and Attorney Silber never disappointed. In court, she was always prepared for complex questions with answers that consistently included case citations, thoughtful arguments. Her motions and memoranda were persuasive and distinguished by her excellent writing skills. She was a terrific advocate for her clients, many of whom came from very diverse backgrounds. She didn't get rattled when things didn't go her way. She patiently waited when opposing counsel was late for the hearing. She takes to heart the admonition to be prepared, and it showed during contested hearings as well as in her cases that often achieved settlement. All these qualities will make her a credit to the Commonwealth if given the opportunity to serve as a judge. Next week, I happen to be lucky enough to get a Mass Bar Pro Bono Award, and I have a great admiration for other attorneys also giving back. So both as a judge and my senior partner's work, I've observed Attorney Silber's own pro bono work, which includes regularly serving as a conciliator, lawyer for a day, and taking limited assistance representation cases. And I make thank you calls to volunteers in the Hampton Conciliation Project. And I would note that on April 14th, you settled both of your assigned conciliation cases. Thank you again. Of great benefit to the parties, their children, and to the court docket. Also, Attorney Silber started volunteering when she started her practice back in 2014. And for one approximately 5-year period, I know she handled in excess of 56 litigants in those various capacities. And she was recognized in May 22, receiving the MVP award from senior partners for her work. And she also encouraged the other attorneys in her office, who I'm happy are here today, to similarly volunteer. Both of us are members of the Mass Bar Dispute Resolution Section Council, and this year we've twice been co-presenters on educational panels, and Attorney Silber thoughtfully adds her voice in that setting as well. One other perspective from my having taught in the last few years, each of Attorney Silber's associates, again, who are here, at a week-long MCLE Family Law Trial Ethics course, which I co-chair. It was remarkable to me as I spoke to them individually each year, how prepared they were for the course, how much they respect Attorney Silber as a lawyer, a mentor, and a supervisor. And I say this because an important part of being a judge is not only in the courtroom, but it's the ability to work with court staff inside and outside of the courtroom. And the respect shown for her law firm supervision, I would suggest portends well for that aspect of being a judge if she receives your approval. So I'm delighted to strongly endorse and request your favorable consideration of Attorney Alison Silber for the judgeship. And thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Judge. Does anyone have any questions for our witness?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Next, I'd like to call up the next witness, Attorney Catherine Coyne.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairperson Jacobs. Good morning to members of the Governor's Council and to all who are gathered here today. My name is Catherine Coyne, and I am delighted to appear here today in support of Alison Silber's nomination to the Probate and Family Court. I have been fortunate to know Alison since 2019 when I joined her law firm as an associate attorney. Alison has become not only my mentor and colleague, but someone I deeply admire both personally and professionally. After law school, I had the privilege of serving as a judicial law clerk for 3 years in the Probate and Family Court. That experience gave me firsthand insight into what distinguishes an outstanding judge: diligence, preparation, intellect, patience, compassion, and temperament. Having worked alongside Alison and knowing her outside of the office as a fellow mom and friend, I can confidently say she embodies those qualities. There is a very long list of attributes that I could share with you about Alison, but today I want to focus on 3. The first is her diligence. Quite simply, Alison gets things done. When I met Alison, which I now refer to as the luckiest coffee date I ever had, she was a solo practitioner looking to add another attorney to her practice. Today, she leads a thriving office with 3 associate attorneys, which succeeds thanks to her mentorship, guidance, and management. She built this law firm through hard work, diligence, and incredible drive. That same diligence was on full display recently when Alison managed 2 multi-day trials in 2 different courthouses with trial days interspersed between one another. What would make many practitioners' heads spin: different trial binders, different parties, different judges, different facts. Alison handled it seamlessly. Probate and family court judges manage an overwhelming caseload, demanding motion sessions, and deeply emotional matters. I know that Alison's organization, diligence, and get things done attitude will serve litigants exceptionally well. The second attribute I'd like to talk about is Alison's intellect. What stands out to me is not simply that Alison is intelligent, but that she is deeply intellectually curious. She genuinely enjoys learning and mastering new case law and statutes as it's ever evolving. What has always impressed me is not only her command of complex legal issues, but her ability to communicate them effectively to very different audiences. Alison can present on continuing education panels to experienced attorneys, and then turn around and explain that same issue to a client in a way that's clear, acceptable, and ensuring. That ability to meet people where they're at is incredibly valuable. The final attribute I'd like to share with you is Alison's character and temperament. Whether you encounter Alison in the courthouse hallway or the grocery store aisle, she conducts herself with integrity, kindness, and professionalism. Family law is an emotionally charged area of practice, and Alison remains steady, thoughtful, and perhaps most importantly, compassionate. I'll never forget when I first started working for Alison, and I overheard opposing counsel yelling at being extremely unprofessional. I remember being shocked by the opposing counsel's hostility, but what was even more memorable to me was the way that Alison handled that. She never raised her voice. She remained calm, respectful, and composed throughout the entire interaction, and ultimately, in the end, got the substantive outcome for her client that she sought. Preparing for today has been bittersweet. Alison's appointment means loss of my boss, my mentor, and a daily part of my professional life. But those feelings are far outweighed by my excitement for the people, the families, and the practitioners who will appear before her. Alison has already given so much to this profession, and now, with an appointment to the bench, her positive impact can be even more widespread. I am fully confident that Alison will serve the people of the Commonwealth with diligence, fairness, compassion, and integrity. It's truly an honor to support her nomination, and I can think of no better candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for this witness? No? Thank you so much. I appreciate that and for carrying on through. So, our practice is to go around the room in this direction. So I'm gonna turn questioning over. Actually, no, we didn't give you a chance to do your statement. My goodness. Got distracted. You said a lot, just. Like I've prepped for this. Would you please share with us your personal statement?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today and for your consideration of my nomination as an Associate Justice to the Probate and Family Court. I am deeply honored. I would like to first thank Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for their nomination to serve as Associate Justice. I would also like to thank the Governor's Legal Counsel, Attorney Kesselheim, Attorney Boudou, Attorney Fee, Attorney Schmidt, and your whole team. Thank you. You do such important work and you do it so well. I would like to thank each member of the Governor's Council. I appreciate all of your time, including all the time you each take to review each full application. It's considerable. I appreciate your hard work and dedication to the Commonwealth. I would like to thank Sonia Altamirano and her team for shepherding me through this process. I would like to thank all of my colleagues, mentors, and members of the judiciary who have supported me through this process, including Chief Justice Dunn and all my honored guests who are here to support me today. Thank you to Judge Sachs and Attorney Coyne for your remarks. I am really blessed to have a loving husband who is my best friend, 3 beautiful children, my parents-in-law, as well as all of our siblings, our extended family, and our friends. I would not be here today if it were not for my parents and the generations before them. My father's grandparents immigrated to this country from the old world as refugees from pogroms and violence. They arrived in this country without high school educations or any knowledge of the English language. My father's grandfather ultimately obtained modest work as a tailor in New York, and my father's grandmother never became proficient in English. She spoke only Yiddish. The next generation, my grandparents, started high school here in the US, but my grandfather never had the opportunity to graduate from high school due to finances. After my grandparents got married, seeking opportunity, they moved their family from East Brooklyn to Elizabethton, Tennessee, so my grandfather could work in an underwear factory. My father and uncle were raised in a modest house where they lived as the only Jewish family in their town. Their neighbor, meanwhile, sewed the robes for the KKK. Raised with the strong values to pursue education and work hard, My father and my uncle both made it to the University of Tennessee, where they were the first in their family to obtain college degrees. They both went on to pursue advanced degrees. My father met my mother at the University of Tennessee, and they married. I was born first, the eldest of three daughters, and then a baby brother. My parents lovingly raised all four of us with strong values. We learned that it was our responsibility to leave the world better than we found it. We learned that it was our responsibility to treat everyone the way we ourselves would want to be treated, which meant that no matter their background, we needed to treat every person with kindness and respect. And we learned that it was our responsibility to work hard, diligently, and ethically. It's not a coincidence that both of my sisters grew up to be physicians in helping specialties, pediatrics and emergency medicine, and I entered family law, where I could impact the lives of so many people. My brother is also a lawyer, but his path is a little different. He works for a professional baseball team, and we'll forgive him that it's not the Red Sox. When I shared with my father that the governor had nominated me to the bench, my father remarked that it was so incredible that in 3 generations, his family went from not speaking English to having a judicial nominee. Our society works best when all families feel like each generation is doing better than the generation before it. In order for our society to have a fighting chance at that type of generational improvement, we must provide our families with all the necessary support. One of the most crucial supports is a fair and just probate and family court, which treats every litigant with respect, patience, and dignity. We know that there is a statistical connection between children who experience a high number of adverse childhood experiences, like violence and untreated substance use disorder in their home, to other challenges those children grow up to experience themselves in adulthood, such as serious mental health challenges, impaired physical health, and a next generation of substance use disorder. In my career, I've had the privilege of working with families experiencing some of these hardest circumstances in life. In this work, I've helped my clients get to a safer, healthier, more stable outcome. We need to help our society's children get to an outcome that meets their best interests. We also need to help our society's adults restructure their lives to get to a better place when appropriate. In my practice, this has sometimes meant I helped my clients obtain affordable housing, helped clients receive necessary treatment for substance use disorder, helped clients secure employment to achieve financial resilience. It is an honor to represent my clients at the darkest, most vulnerable moments in hopes of improving their lives and the generations who will follow them. If confirmed, I would recognize that many of the parties before the court appear with backgrounds of significant trauma and challenge. What might be the very last hearing on a judge's long, busy motion day might also be the most high-stakes moment of a party's entire life. Every litigant deserves respect, impartiality, patience, and a thoughtful, intelligent application of the law. I am proud to have brought the values of my upbringing into this work. I've treated my clients, opposing parties, opposing counsel, court staff, and others with the respect with which I would want to be treated. If confirmed, I would bring this commitment to respect, professionalism, and ethics to the bench. I truly appreciate the council's time this morning. I thank you for your consideration of my nomination, and I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I turn it over to Counselor Silber.
Congratulations, Alison, on your nomination.
Thank you.
It was wonderful talking to you and getting to know who you are and your work experience and your dedication to service. My question for you is, what is your perspective on the long-term impact for domestic violence and sexual assault can have on families and children?
Good morning. Thank you so much for your question. You raised such an important point, which is that it is the duty of the Commonwealth and the Probate and Family Court to protect the people of Massachusetts. And that includes protecting adults from violence and also protecting children from violence in every pernicious form that it can appear. And so if I were appointed to the court, that would be of absolute paramount importance to me, that the court is used and available to protect the people who live here. As you know, the touchstone of family law and probate and family court is the best interests of the children, and we need to do everything we can to meet those best interests.
Thank you. And I know we talked about one testimony that has a long lasting impact throughout your professional career. I would like you to share that because we talked about it, and share with people who are tuning in or watching us on YouTube about why you are so passionate about the law and serving as an attorney, but also looking to be nominated as the next probate and family judge.
Thank you for that opportunity. When we spoke earlier, I shared a matter that I worked in a while ago that has never left me, that has stayed with me. And in that matter, there was a young mom in her 30s, and she was outside playing basketball on the driveway of Springfield with her son, and she sustained a traumatic brain injury from the basketball. Basically, what happened is the ball hit her head. She didn't feel well. She went to rest and lie down, and she never woke up. She continued to be alive, but she was incapacitated. The court appointed me as guardian next friend to represent an incapacitated person's best interests. And the court needed to do that because almost immediately, as soon as her ex-husband, and they had been divorced about 10 or 12 years, he left. They divorced when the child was very, very young. As soon as that ex-husband learned that she was in the hospital, he showed up at her home where she lived with her newer husband, who had been in the child's life now for nearly a decade. He showed up at that home and demanded that the child come back to him. And it was problematic because that father had been he was a problematic figure. He had not been involved in the life of the child. He had a long history with domestic violence and with substance use disorder. And so the court appointed me to figure out, how do we protect this woman who's incapacitated and unable to speak for herself, and also the best interests of the child. That case, I think the reason that it has stayed with me so long is because I've really reflected in a moment where that could have been me, right? By the grace of God, I don't play basketball with my friends, but we do other activities. By the grace of God, that wasn't me. But if that had been me, I would want to have a compassionate, caring court that really thought about the situation, paused, and figured out what is necessary here. How do we figure out how to hear what's best for this mom who can't speak for herself, and for this child who's we want the child's future to be as bright as possible too. So that has inspired me. That's the probate and family court that I would want to appear in front of. And therefore, as I spoke about in my personal statement, I feel an obligation to help make the court that.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan.
Thank you so much. Your counselor, Tara Jacobs, is a big supporter of yours. And as I told you when we met, I was inclined to be biased due to having had the pleasure of working with your husband, former State Senator Eric Lesser. But I thought you were absolutely marvelous. And I really appreciated the fact that usually with nominees, there aren't other things going on. There were a lot of other things going on, and you stayed focused and you were patient through that, which I really, really appreciated. I was very impressed with your diligence and your work ethic, your knowledge of the law, and your values, and what you said about your understanding of practicing family law, which is mine as well, which is that you're working with families in crisis and helping them to get to a better place, which is incredibly rewarding. So I just wanted to ask you about the legal standard for custody, which is best interest of the child, and how that can be challenging Because when there are two parents, you know, the father may think something is in the best interest of the child, and the mother may have another notion about what's in the best interest of the child. And so, not to be gender biased, could be two female parents or two male parents, but they disagree about what's in the best interest of the child, and the job of the judge is to make that finding. So can you just talk about that process?
Sure.
That's a challenging process.
Thank you for that question. And I agree with you that in probate and family court, so much of what we see is party A saying one thing and party B saying the absolute opposite, and trying to encourage a settlement that's going to be in the best interest of the child for the topic you're talking about, like a parenting arrangement, legal custody. And when that's not possible and resolution's not going to happen, it's up to the court as the trier of fact to figure out what's going on. And so the court needs to hear all the evidence, evaluate it based on what might be credible, weighing, you know, maybe there is one expert who comes in and is especially well qualified and seems to know the matter very, very well. Those are determinations that the court has to make to assess the evidence before it and ultimately reach a conclusion that is absolutely in the best interest of the child, which is the paramount goal of the probate and family court.
I know we had talked about your work as a guardian ad litem, which are referred to as GALs. Can you just talk about that work and what that process is, and how you would rely or not rely on the work of GALs as a judge?
Thank you. So guardians ad litem, which we sometimes use the acronym GAL, there are a number of different categories of guardians ad litem, but I'll focus my answer because I think this is, tell me if this is not where you want me to focus, but category E and category F guardians ad litem are investigators, and they are appointed by the probate and family court to investigate what's going on. And it's normally in the hypothetical that you described, where one party is saying something that's absolutely different from the other party. And so the guardian ad litem will the court will appoint the guardian ad litem to investigate. Normally it's about 30 to 35 hours of investigation and figure out what's going on. And sometimes that includes writing a report. Sometimes that includes making recommendations and then sharing that information with the court. I think it's important to point out that this is one of many tools that the probate and family court has. There are other tools as well. Sometimes the court appoints counsel for a child. In Western Mass, or at least in Hampden County, we call that the Children's Law Project. There can also be an interview by probation to hear directly from a child. But the court has many tools. And then in the instance you're talking about, where a guardian ad litem has done their investigation, they return to the court unless there's settlement. If there's not settlement, they return to the court, and it's up to the court at trial. They're the trier of fact to think, how qualified was this guardian ad litem? Did they do a good job? Was their investigation thorough, comprehensive, thoughtful? And it's ultimately up to the court how much to weigh the input of the guardian ad litem.
Very good, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you.
Confident in your abilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, Counselor Ziegler.
Thank you. Congratulations again. We had a lovely conversation prior to today, just talking about, you know, your story and how you just came to practice law, and what brought you to today. And I wanted to highlight the conversation a little bit. We centered our conversation around community. And I really appreciated your answer. So I'll ask you in public forum, you know, how would you characterize your community values?
Thank you for that question. Also, it's very impressive, your multitasking, and I really admire all the working parents who do so many things. I think when we spoke, I talked about how my husband and I didn't define ourselves as communitarians. We are community-oriented people, and that manifests kind of in every way, in every approach. I'll start with my professional community, which is that I feel so grateful to have an extraordinary professional community. Our bar is pretty tight-knit and full of many wonderful people, and I'm grateful for them. I'm also part of my town community in Massachusetts, and possibly even more so in Western Massachusetts, I'm not sure. We have a real small town feeling to our town, and so I identify in being part of my town community, but also part of the greater Western Mass community, which includes Springfield, Holyoke, Greenfield. I think a lot of people from Western Massachusetts feel a lot of pride, a regional pride. I also identify as being part of a community of families. As I said, I have 3 children. I'm so proud of my children, and we're very involved in their world through their schools and through their activities. I'm part of my I don't want to, I have a very large family, and I don't want to call them community because they are my family, but they are a very important part of my connectedness. And I'm also part of my religious community. I'm involved with institutions like the Springfield Jewish Community Center, where my son is right now in preschool. And also my family volunteers through our religious community in a monthly soup kitchen in Springfield. So there's so many different ways that we're connected to the community. And it's really fulfilling to be part of all of those communities.
I bring that up because, you know, this role is, you know, very community centered. And so how would you see yourself either leveraging or would you see it as a benefit, the community connections that you have and the work that you intend to do on the bench?
I think that our judges have an obligation to give back to the community, and I am lucky to have some tremendous role models like Judge Williams, who's right here with me today, for example. She spoke, just to give you a sense of community, it just so happened, I had nothing to do with it, but she spoke at my daughter's Girl Scouts a few years ago as a judge. That's the type of giving back that I think benefits and enriches our entire community. And so where possible, if I was lucky enough to be appointed, I would see it as my obligation to do things like appear in the public schools, whether even starting at elementary school, and to show children opportunities professional opportunities that might not be on their radar, to read to their class, to be involved, to volunteer, to do things for all different ages, like to possibly coach a mock trial team at our local law school. Those are all things that enrich the community.
In your many years of practicing law, you've seen a number of complex and unique, you know, cases. Can you talk about your most challenging case and what lessons you garnered from that?
Thank you for that question. It's a tough question because it's hard for me to pick out perhaps the toughest case. I think that there are themes that come through some of the most challenging cases, and the theme I would probably highlight is just the heated emotions that exist in our work. For the uncontested divorces and never married parents, agreements, when they can reach an uncontested agreement, I think it's incredible. And I always try to give clients and parties that feedback of, you have done something tremendous, because it is so hard to reach resolution. For many of our matters where they can't reach resolution, it's because they're in some of life's most difficult times, you know, that involve a lot of loss, a loss of a relationship, a loss of an identity as a spouse, and they might be moving from one town to another due to housing costs after the divorce. And so dealing with all my clients and all the people who I've encountered through the probate and family court in their most emotional times is an honor. It's a privilege. I'm proud of how I've been able largely to dial down the heat in a lot of those matters, and de-escalate and help people, even when we have to go to trial because it's a truly unresolvable case. If I can dial down the heat even to some degree, that's an achievement, because my hope is that everyone's going to restructure their life and get to a place where they're just living more peacefully and in a more stable way after their encounter with the probate and family court.
One of the matters that we come before you, may involve some domestic violence issue or abuse between partners. Can you talk about your experience with cases of the sort and how you would approach them from the bench?
Thank you for that question. You're right that domestic violence is something that we see regularly in the probate and family court. It exists. It's not isolated. It exists across towns. It exists across socioeconomic classes. It exists across racial groups. It exists. And so I do have a lot of experience with that because it exists in our world and I work in our world. It's really important, as I was discussing, that the probate and family court is a place that people can go for safety and to achieve the safety and security they need to move forward in a healthy way.
And then, there may be an instance in which you would have to decide whether the home is a fit place for a child to remain. What would be grounds for you moving a child from the home, from the bench?
These are, I agree with you that these are really difficult matters that deserve really thoughtful attention. There are kind of two different ways that we might see this manifest. One might be where there's unfitness by two parents, and so the Department of Children and Families gets involved, and that's far less common, and something that the court needs to take very, very, very seriously and thoughtfully. That's one form of protection for children. Something that we see with more frequency might be between two parents where there's one household that's not safe and not fit for the child. And in those circumstances, which are have to be assessed on a fact-by-fact basis and require great detailed attention, the court needs to do whatever is necessary to protect the children of the Commonwealth.
And my last question is, so, we've gotten a number of letters of support for you. Several of them have mentioned your work with the Family Resolutions Specialty Court. And so I would ask you, what have you learned from that experience? And you spoke very highly of it, really excited about that. So what you experience, and what do you hope to build upon in relation to that specialty court?
Thank you for flagging the Family Resolution Specialty Court. For those who might not be familiar with it, it is this innovative court that Judge Fidnick of Hampshire Probate and Family Court founded. And it's really an amazing model because rather than the traditional adversarial court where there's one parent versus the other parent, everybody sits down at the table. It almost mimics a collaborative divorce, which is a form of process that we use sometimes in divorces, and everyone comes to the table together and works collaboratively to reach resolution. So the judge literally steps down from the bench, joins the table. There are the two parents, attorneys if they have attorneys. There might be an attorney for the children. There might be a family consultant, which is the term that's used for a mental health provider for the family, and other types of collaborative experts as necessary. It's an incredible model. My understanding is that it's the first of its kind in the country. I have been really lucky I just had the great timing of when I moved out to Western Mass about 15 years ago, this was getting going. And so I got, I was one of the original people to get involved with it. And I was one of the original mediators. And so I've had an opportunity to resolve a number of matters through the Family Resolutions Specialty Court. The acronym is FRISC. And those mediation skills, which, by the way, I mediate more than just through FRISC, through privately and through other organizations as well. But those mediation skills, I think, are so helpful for a judge. The skill of taking a moment, turning down the heat for a family, reflecting back to a family, not what their positions are, but what their values are, what their common vision might be. Those are all skills that I think will help anyone on the bench. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Kennedy.
I can't talk. It's nice to see the senator back here. I'm a little disappointed in him though. He was smart enough to get out of the building, not smart enough to stay out. I can't talk, but I'm gonna, you know, I've got calls, as I told you, about your nomination. We're very supportive.
Thank you so much.
And I did speak with you on the phone.
Yes.
He answered all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Long.
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning. It's pleasure to meet you in person. We had a good conversation. I don't think it came up this morning, but you also did a year of Teach for America during Katrina in New Orleans, which is like a good story. I feel like you should highlight. It's an interesting story. Anyone who goes Teach for America had a lot of options coming out of school, and that was your choice. And that tells me a lot about you from the start. Likewise, the folks who have spoken about working with you, et cetera. Our conversation touched on a lot of things, including some of the judges we look to right now who are doing a good job. I'm going to highlight Judge Stark, who I continue to hear great things about. I just really briefly outside spoke with Chief Justice, who had very positive things to say about you as well. And that certainly goes a long way. I also continue to hear great things about him. I'm not going to ask you any questions. I will just say you asked me what I think is important in a probate judge. And we had a conversation about that and about what trauma-informed justice means and how it's implemented. And I was satisfied, speaking cliches, you have a thoughtful approach to things, and I think you're going to be a great judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions for you today either. I love your approach, your philosophy. I hope it will be reflected in a cultural shift around turning down the heat and focusing on what's best for families and what's best for kids and what's best for the two adults or more adults, depending on the construct of the family, to move forward in a way that is peaceful and allows everyone to thrive. And I like the way that you approach that. And I'm just very happy to have your nomination come through. I look forward to making the motion at the next assembly on your behalf. And thank you all for coming out. With that, I will close out the hearing.
Thank you so much.
It's Counselor.
Someone tell me.
Go for it.
Yeah, yeah,
Ready,
okay.
guys? How are you?
No, we're ready.
So go ahead and I'll call our meeting to order. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ferreira for a moment of reflection or a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you, Governor. Take a moment to reflect upon public servants that serve us every day, including the fallen firefighter from Boston this past week. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody doing today? I love our addition to the chamber today.
Very enthralled.
He's totally into it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So moved, Governor.
It's been made and
Second.
it's been made, seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Dolan for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace.
so moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Civil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ferreira for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Georgia Petropoulos to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court.
Great pleasure to make that honor.
All right, motion's been made, second. Counselor Ianella, is there any further comments or questions?
Just want to thank you and Governor Healy, Jesse, Dara, everyone involved in the process for an outstanding nomination. There's not a bad word anyone's ever had to say about Georgia. She's going to be a remarkable jurist for us in the Commonwealth, and she's going to make all of us proud. So thank you.
Great, fantastic. I would ask Aaron to help us by calling the roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor Jacobs. Didn't see you.
I really like her. I was looking forward to voting for her. Today I will be voting present. I just want to underscore again my objection to us rushing these votes so close after holding the hearing. I don't think it's a good precedent or good practice for us to have same day voting on any judicial magistrate or other significant role that comes before us. Having said that, I do want to echo what you just said. It is a nomination that I give a lot of admiration and respect to, and I think she will be fantastic on the bench. But that's the reason I'll be voting present today.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Aaron, if you could help us out by calling the roll, that would be great.
Counselor Ferreira.
Yes.
Counselor Civil.
Yes.
Counselor Dolan.
Yes.
Counselor Ianella.
Yes.
Counselor Ziegler.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor DePaula.
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs.
We've got 7 members in the affirmative, 1 member voting present. With that in mind, the matter carries. We have before us 2 nominations to the office of public administrator. I'd like to recognize Counselor Civil for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of James A. Shanley to the position of public administrator for Norfolk County.
So moved, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Ianella. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And now I'd like to recognize Counselor DePaulo for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Janie Vowles to the position of public administrator for Worcester County. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Jacobs. Any other further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And we have 1 new nomination, that is for Mark Francisco for reappointment as a member of the Appellate Tax Board. Counselor Ziegler, I'm not sure if you've scheduled anything for a time and date for the hearing.
Yes, I've spoken with him and we'd like to hold it on June 10th at 11:30.
6:10 at 11:30. Okay, we've got that noted. I think that concludes our business, so I'd entertain
I have one thing.
Counselor.
I'd just like to introduce some friends that showed up today. So these three L law clerks at the Catches Law Group, they gave them the day off to come up here and learn about government today. So we have Nina Bonanza,
Thank you, everyone.
Brianna Johnson,
Thank you for having me.
Anya Bornson.
Thank you for having
If
me.
you could just tell them like real quick, like where you are and what you want to do.
I went to Roger Williams Law School And I'm not really sure what kind of law I want to do yet. I'm just kind of tasting everything and trying to absorb what I can, but I'm really happy to be at Catches and happy to be here today.
Thank you.
I just finished my 1 year at Suffolk Law School. I am loving the tort department at Catches right now, so hopefully have a career in that. I'm happy to be here and happy to be at Catches. Thank you.
Good job.
I'm Anya, I'm also a 3L Roger Williams Law, and I'm also interested in pursuing a career in tort law, but I'm not quite sure yet, so just thank you for having me today, I'm excited to be with you.
Thank you. And my other friend here is Neil Rossi, retired Hanover police officer, had a great career at UPS with government relations, and a big supporter. So happy to have them in the chamber today, and thank you for acknowledging them.
Absolutely. Always great to have potential new lawyers in the house, so it's just great. With that in mind, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Made by Counselor Jacobs, seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor, any opposed? The ayes have it.